I've called this channel Ozymandias, and I'm starting to see the irony of that. For those who don't know, Ozymandias is the Greek name for the Egyptian pharaoh Ramesses II. He built massive statues and temples to ensure that he would be remembered forever and that he was king of kings. But the poem by Percy Shelley isn't about his power. It's about how thousands of years later his statue is just two giant stone legs standing in the middle of an empty desert. The inscription says, "Look on my works, ye are mighty in despair." But there's nothing there, just sand. So I'm 19 and I feel like I'm standing in the middle of that conflict right now. There's this massive pressure to be someone, to build that statue, to leave that legacy. But on the other hand, there's the knowledge that sand comes and covers up everything anyway. So today I want to look at these two stories that perfectly represent both extremes of this argument. The first movie is about the terror of ambition, Whiplash. And the second is a book about the quiet dignity of a forgotten life, Stoner. Let's start with Whiplash. If you haven't seen it, the premise is deceptively simple. It's about Andrew Neiman, a 19-year-old jazz drummer at a prestigious conservatory in New York City. And he doesn't want to just be good. He wants to be one of the greats. He wants to be Buddy Rich. But the movie isn't really about jazz. It's a psychological horror film about the cost of legacy. Andrew meets an instructor named Fletcher, who believes that the two most harmful words in the English language are "good job." Fletcher pushes Andrew past a breaking point, physically, mentally, emotionally, all in the name of pushing him to greatness. And here is the dangerous part. I love this movie, and I think a lot of people my age also do as well. Because deep down we buy into the lie. We watch Andrew play until his hands bleed, alienating his family, breaking up with his girlfriend, and part of us think, yes, that's what it takes. There is a specific scene that haunts me. Andrew is at a family dinner. His family is praising his cousins for being Employee of the Month or playing Division 3 football. Normal, healthy achievements. And Andrew snaps. He looks at them with pure contempt. He says,
"I'd rather die drunk, broke at 34 and have people at a dinner table talk about me than live to be rich and sober at 90 and nobody remember who I was."
That line is the manifesto of our generation. We're terrified of the rich and sober at 90 life. We're terrified of being average. We fetishize the suffering. We tell ourselves that if we aren't miserable, we aren't doing enough. We aren't doing it well enough. The philosophy of Whiplash is that the statue is all that matters. But if you really analyze the final shot of that film, Andrew achieves his greatness. He gets a solo, but look at his eyes. He has completely severed his connection to humanity. He has become a machine. He is Ozymandias, building a monument to himself alone in the desert. That brings me to the book that sits directly in the middle of this problem, The Secret History by Donna Tartt. In The Secret History, you have a group of students who are obsessed with classics. They are obsessed with Greek, with beauty, with the aesthetic of being an intellectual. They look down on the normal world just like Andrew Neiman did. And what happens? It destroys them. They become obsessed with this idea of living this great life that they let it ruin their actual lives. And I feel this as well. I sit in front of this camera, I watch thousands of films, I read hundreds of books. Am I doing it because I actually enjoy it and love it? Or am I doing it because I feel that I have an obligation to society to do so? So if Whiplash is the argument for ambition of all costs, let me introduce you to the counter-argument. It's a novel called Stoner by John Williams. The plot is the exact opposite of a thriller. It follows only William Stoner throughout his whole life. He's born on a poor farm in the late 1800s. He goes to university, he becomes a teacher, he marries the wrong woman, he gets caught up in petty department politics, he grows old, and he dies. There is no grand climax, no drum solo, he doesn't change the world. In the eyes of Fletcher from Whiplash, he is a complete failure. He is a nobody. But as you read the book, you realise that Stoner is actually a hero. He's not this pathetic character we are led to believe. Not because he conquered the world, but the fact that he endured it with dignity and with grace. He finds meaning with the small things of life. A light hitting his desk, the silence of an empty room, a great book, talking to a student who genuinely cares. This connects so heavily to the movies I've been watching lately, like The Holdovers or Perfect Days. In The Holdovers, Paul Giamatti plays a teacher who is also stuck, but the movie argues that his life has immense value because of the small human connections he makes. He impacts one student, and that's all it takes. Stoner teaches us that You don't need a statue to matter. The texture of your life, drinking a coffee, riding a bike to work, listening to your favorite art, that is the point. The process is the point, not the legacy. So where does that leave me? Where does that leave us? I don't want to be Andrew Neiman. I don't want to play in front of a crowd that won't care for me in 100 years. But I also don't want to be purely passive. I have ambitions, I have goals, I have things I want to do in life. So I think the answer lies somewhere in the middle, a synthesis. You need the discipline of Whiplash applied to the mindset of Stoner. You should strive to be great at everything you do, but detach that emotion and need for validation. I look at artists like Mac DeMarco or King Cruel. They are undeniably great at what they do, but they don't create art for the sake of it, or because they want to be rich and famous, or hoard all the glory. They do it because they genuinely care, and because they want to make music that they like the sound of and that they enjoy listening to, and that they think the world would be a better place. They are undeniably great at what they do, but they don't seem to be chasing a statue. They seem to be making music because they enjoy the noise it makes. It reminds me of a line from East of Eden, which I'm reading right now. Steinbeck talks about Tim Shell. It means we have a choice. We have a choice to define what greatness means. And I think true greatness isn't about being remembered forever. It's about being fully present in everything you do in life and taking advantage of all your opportunities to the fullest. So if you're 19, 20, or even any age, and you feel the pressure to be someone, remember Ozymandias. The statue falls down. So you might as well enjoy building it. I'm going to be using this channel to document my journey of figuring stuff out, or at least attempting to. So if you'd like to see that or want to join me for the ride, I'd really appreciate a subscribe and a thumbs up. But if you didn't enjoy the video, I completely understand that, and I appreciate you for watching this far along. Have an amazing day. Thank you.